Welcome to the Jonty and Mac Podcast. This week's episode is an episode that touches many people. I would say basically everyone on the planet has at least felt some elements of this throughout their life, and probably with what's going on COVID times, the majority of us are feeling it more than ever now. So this week's episode, we're going to talk about mental health, and basically. You're listening to Jonty right now. This is me and my co-host, the man of the hour, the Mac, the one and only. Introduce yourself, baby.
What's up, guys? I'm Mac, Paul. Listen, like John said, we just kind of said we'll have this conversation. Mental health seems to be in the mainstream a lot. It seems to be affecting a lot of people. And we had a talk about it. We had an overview, and we said, listen, let's talk about it and kind of give our views on it, give our experience on it, and kind of share with you as the people what we've gone through and what we had to overcome, and kind of little mental strategies that we had to do. And we just said, what, maybe this is people want to hear things from just normal people. There's a lot of talk about it, but it seems to be always the professionals talk about it. You never really hear the victims on mainstream. It's like it's a taboo to bring people on and talked about and have people really talking about their issues that they're having. And they always say, listen, talking's the greatest grace for mental health. It is, absolutely. But why aren't people talking about it enough?
I suppose the big reason that people don't talk about the mental health issues that they face is because they're so personal, and they touch a nerve with every single body, that they're literally something that is very dark, or it's upsetting that people, they don't feel like, let's say they could do it in an anonymous way, but they would never generally come out and say it. And that's why I think the mental health problem it was already there before, and now it's kind of cascaded. It's just blown out now. And there's so many people they can't even get proper help. They can't even get proper assistance. I think it's very difficult for people, especially men. And like women hold things in, but women would be they'd be more open to share their feelings and let things out. Whereas I'm not speaking for every man, but I'm speaking for myself. Like personally, I keep a lot of things in, and I don't like telling things out. I don't like expressing things that are personal to me, and I think a lot of other men are kind of on that same page.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, like, there is some things that that are unique to you and stuff like that. But the thing about it is, like, and I'm less of a sobby person. I'm less of a sobby fucking bollocks. Okay, I'm one of these old school guys that just gets fucking on with it. Okay, you fall, you get back up. Okay, it happens to everybody. And mental health's always been around. It's always been an issue. But back in the day, you were fucked in a psycho ward for just like crying on the street or whatever it may be. The kind of way. I do like the way it's kind of a bit more understood now. Okay, it's a bit more understood now, and I even had for this podcast, I done a little background work myself. I had to give a presentation on mental health in the last workplace I had, and I picked the subject myself, and I kind of got a good overview of the mental health crisis that's happening at the moment and why it's happened, the history of it, and an overview of the governing bodies that are doing and the research behind it. And yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting because, like John said, like, men and women, if you're a woman listening to this or talking to us, it affects people different. Talking is good. An interesting stat though I did come across, and you'll have to Google it yourself because I can't reference off the top of my head. Apparently, it's more women now that are suffering from mental health. Okay, this is a new thing that's coming out now. So a lot of more women now are suffering with mental health than men. Okay,
why is that?
Yeah. Well, before, John, the mainstream message out there was that men suffer with it more, or maybe men deal with it more difficultly, like because women are more open to speaking about these things. Men are less, it's kind of like taboo. You have to be man, you have to shut up, a bit like that. Like, and I have to kind of be honest, okay? If there's certain issues, there's a spectrum. Sorry, that's me fucking phone. There's a spectrum, okay, of things that maybe you can talk about and things that you can't talk about. Okay, if there's somebody in it and work or something like that, yeah, you kind of just tell the lads and all like that. Yeah, fuck him, he's a boss, he's a dickhead, blah blah blah. Or your man, yeah, he's an arsehole. But there's some things like John said, yeah, it's a bit deeper than that, the kind of way. That's when you need help. That's when things start to come into it. And I understand now why men will be able to deal with that less than women, but women probably, I think women are starting to hold things in more now. I think they're starting to play the man's game to compete with man, not to compete with man, but to be in the workplace and to be recognized as a strong individual, as a strong woman, because that's what women are now. They're putting that out, that they're strong, they're independent, all that girl power stuff now. It's starting to come at a price now, because now they're talking less about issues, and they're not, they're not dealing with them properly.
Yeah, I be honest with you, I haven't read anything about that, but from my opinion, I would say that men are less likely to open up and talk about feelings, or if they're having a shitty time in their life, if things just aren't going the right way. What they tend to do, and this speaking from my own opinion, and it's probably another perspective that other people have as well, is we bottle it up. And what I mean by that is we take it, anything that we have. You had a shit day in work, you had an argument with your boss, you fucked up in work, happens all the time. Do it yourself.
Yeah.
You're not achieving what you want in life. You're not getting where you want to be. You suck at this. You haven't got the money, whatever. And what you keep doing with those little elements is you keep storing them into the back of your head. And over time, people start to get a little build up there. And it's just like taking a bottle of 7-Up and shaking the crap out of it. Once you open that, man, it is going to go everywhere. And you'll see that with a lot of people, especially when they like to have a lot of alcohol, or alcohol really brings out, like, you could be a really nice person, but if you, all the shit that you bottle up in your head, that's why you see some people, you're like, you're a totally different guy last night. What was wrong with you? And you're like, God, I'm so sorry, man. I don't know what the fuck. I was all over the place.
What are you trying to say, John?
Well, yeah, it's like you said, you could be a big crybaby, or vice versa. You could be just an aggressive arsewipe.
Yeah, well, I tell you now, alcohol does have an effect on me when I had too much of it, man. I can get very sensitive. I can get very sensitive.
Yeah, me too, man. I never got aggressive. I'm just a big, like, come here, baby. I love everybody. And
yeah.
And then the next day when I wake up in my bed after having too much gargle, I literally get like what's basically the ultimate fear, I call it. Which if anyone's met that fella, you'll know where I'm coming from, because that is a serious mental issue that can have you in bed for 1 to 2 days. When you get older, it can have you for easily 2 days.
Yeah, well.
Like alcohol plays a big issue in mental health, and I'll tell you, I personally don't drink as much as I used to anymore, and the reason I don't is because it makes me very, very depressed. And I'm not saying, what I've done is I've curtailed it, whereas let's say, for example, beforehand I would have had, like, just any Friday I would have had, like, I don't know, 12 bottles, 12 cans, 10 cans. The next day, couldn't get out of bed. It's lovely and sunny. We're supposed to go shopping, clean the house. Do you want to do something, John? No, can't do that. Windows are shut. I'm sitting there in a ball, it basically in the fetal position, just like, why did I do this to myself? And then I had too many of them moments, and I said, I'm not doing that anymore, man. I'm just not doing it. So one lesson that I would give people, and we'll go on about a few more down the line, but in terms of, like, if you have any, I don't know, alcohol. See, I'm not a big smoker of weed or anything like that, so I don't really know what that feels like if you get down on that. But not to say I never have, you know what I mean? But I've never had that off it. I never had that just where I feel down or sad on it. But alcohol has brought me to the top of Kilimanjaro, and the next day it's brought me to like the black hole of Calcutta where I just can't get over, you know
That's
what I mean?
that's what it is. It's a depressant.
So, yeah.
Realize that.
I would say to people, like, there's little avenues you can look at, and for me, just on a not weekly and a daily basis, I cut by cutting alcohol out. And another a thing that I did was, it's sometimes I didn't cut it out because I enjoy it. Like if there was a wedding or someone's birthday, or I haven't seen someone for a long time, I'll have a few beers with them. Yeah, I'll pay for it the next day. But my brain is stronger now that I get up and I fight it and get through it. But I don't do that on a regular basis, where it just basically, after a while, the leather on the strap just gets worn out and you're not able to handle it and you buckle. That's what I'm trying to say to people. So in that aspect, you know, cutting out little things like that. Nutrition is another big one, you know. You are what you eat. And if you eat shit, you're going to walk around and feel like shit. You know?
Yeah. I agree there. Yeah, alcohol's not your friend. But like, I think people realize that. Everyone knows about that.
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so, because why do they still do it then?
Because Irish culture, Mac. Culture.
There's many a times, right, I felt like shit, okay? And someone says or something happens and I'm like, grand, you know, that something's coming up the weekend that you can't wait. It just gets you through that week and you're like, yes, going to that gig or going to the, you know, whatever it is, going to some party, it's something happening the weekend. You know you're going to have a few drinks. And you and I've had plenty of weekends where I've had a few drinks and I had enjoyed it. And I think, like, without getting a bit too fucking hard on myself and too hard on other people, like, you have to remember, first things first, okay? You're in charge of your own mental health, okay?
Of course.
You know, I think
I agree.
I think people need to realize that, okay? People need to just say, oh, you know, I know it's a very softy kind of place now. I'm coming from a position where, you know, I was taught, like, no, listen, what you do is your fucking fault. Okay. Everything you do is your actions. Okay. No one put a gun to you, unless someone put a gun to your head. No one makes you do anything. Okay. And you're responsible for everything that goes in and out of your head. Okay. If there's bad things going into your head, you just have to fucking deal with it. Okay. You have to be able to turn these negatives into positives, or just deal with them, just accept them. Okay. It's not an easy thing to do, and it does take practice, and it takes a lot of wisdom. And yeah, it does take a few dark places, but if you keep letting these messages in that, like, oh, you know, I feel bad today, the world's against me, something happened at that, or I just have no luck, or this, that, and the other, like, you're gonna be in that state of mind until you pull yourself, until you actually realize, actually, no, do you know what? It's my fault. It's my fault I'm drinking too much. It's my fault I'm coming in late for work, or it's my fault I crashed my car that time, or something like that. People have to take fucking responsibility for their own mental health, okay? I understand people come from, like, really fucking dysfunctional backgrounds and stuff like that, and there's issues that, but there's plenty of examples out there where people have come from, like, absolutely nothing, okay? And they've made it in the game, they've made it in business, they've made it in sports, they've made it in everything they do, like, you know, that kind of way. They've made it at the top positions because they just have a different mindset. It's not as if, like, they were born differently or anything. That they're the same human being, man, woman, child, whatever in between. I don't give a fuck. But people need to realize that, okay, yes, there is dangers there if you let these things, like John was saying, kind of like build up, you know, that kind of way. If you rattle the cage, it's just gonna fucking, like, throw Mentos in it. But you have to get into this routine of just accepting things for what they are, not making excuses for them, you know, that kind of way. And it just starts off with the small little things. Pick up your clothes off the ground, hang them up, get up in the morning, wash yourself, put your socks on, put your jocks on, get dressed, and fucking go out and face the day, okay? You're no different than anyone else. We all have to do it. We all have to do it, okay? We all have to take shit, okay? Okay, none of us are millionaires. We didn't win the lotto or anything like that. We just have to get through this life as best we can. And the only way of doing that is being realistic and being positive. And that's kind of like, I've had to build that up myself over years. Okay, I was a mad bastard when I was a teenager. I wasn't a happy kid. Yeah, of course I was happy. Like, it wasn't really the worst thing in the world, but getting through things, I learned that you know what, I need to change things. If things aren't working for me, and I keep on this railway track, it's only going to go one way. I need to change something, and it takes a lot of strength, a lot of mental strength, and that's what we're talking about here. To dig deep and just get out of the rut that you're in. Okay, it's not easy, but no one's gonna fucking do it for you. Okay, you are responsible for your own mental health. Okay, that's in a nutshell.
I think it's a good point what you're saying. It kind of reminds me of I don't know if you know Jocko Willick.
Oh yeah,
He had
Jocko.
he's the Navy SEAL. Like, if anyone has ever wants to get like a good lesson in just straightforward, no bullshit talking, Jocko's a man to listen to. Well, he basically has like some phrases, and I like one of them he has, which is be accountable and take ownership for your own actions. And basically what he's trying to say is what you do, the outcome of that is basically where you're going to end up. So if you, I don't know, if you hang around with idiots who take drugs and drink and get you into trouble all the time, that's where you're going to be. If you drink every day, or if you drink every week, and you know that it's making you feel like garbage, and I'm not knocking people that have a drink. I love to have one as well. I'm just saying, going overboard, and when you know that it's starting to fuck your head up and make you feel like shit, if you keep doing that and letting the little person inside not have their voice and not listen to yourself, and I think a lot of people nowadays, due to technology and social media, and they're constantly out of themselves. And I know that sounds a little bit like, what is he talking about? But I'll tell you what I mean. There's a lot of times where your body instinctively tells you things to do, but you don't listen to it. And when you're overly active, i.e., using social media constantly on your phone all the time, you're not actually allowing yourself to communicate with yourself. You're actually just letting outside forces obstruct your natural wave in your body of just like, just being nice and relaxed and chilled. And you can see then, like, I'll give you an example what I mean. I know I went a bit vague there, right? But I was actually wrecking me ahead. I was on Facebook all the time, and I'm still on it, right? But I went off it and knocked it. My phone, I basically took my phone, right? And I got myself an old button phone, no applications on it, right? I threw my phone.
A lot of people do that now,
yeah, right. And actually, I'll challenge anyone to take this test, right? Take your SIM card out, right? Get the bigger one, put the smaller SIM card into it, put it into a button phone, right? That you can only have calls, texts, and there's some Nokia ones have a radio on it. Like me, I like to listen to my music when I'm cycling in the morning to work and etc. Right? So you're allowed to have that, right? If you can't get one of them phones, I don't know. I think you'll cheat anyway. So my advice to you is just find someone who has one and get one, right? Because you will always turn it back on and snoop late at night, right? Go for one solid week without your apps on your phone. And I'm talking about social media contents, right? Just let people call you, text people if you like. That's fine. Keep in contact with people. Always say the more contact you have, the better. But at the same time, stay away from them elements and wait till you see the first 3 days. It's like coming off a drug. You don't know what's going on. And then you start to listen to yourself and you start to relax. And you start to have little times where you think of things come into your head and you're like,
and then you smoke a big reefer and fucking just blaze.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do that, I mean, I don't do it myself, but I mean, if that works for you, why not? Turn on a bit
Why
of Bob
not?
Marley, you know what I mean? A lot of people do it, and sit down and have a nice drink if you want, as long as you don't just ruin things on yourself, But you'll find when you eradicate little things like that, um, looking after yourself, as Max said, getting up in the morning, if you can't make your bed, right, and you walk out of your house, you're not going to be able to do really difficult tasks for the rest of the day. That's just like 101 stuff. So you need to be able to get up and do them things. I'll tell you a little thing I've been doing. I get up earlier than I'm supposed to in the mornings. And obviously we're doing the podcast, so I'm looking into reading and checking out some new stuff and some new ideas. I actually do a little bit of reading in the morning and it calms me down. And I listen to a bit of music, just go to work, Look, I know everyone is doing jobs, or maybe you don't have a job because of the pandemic at the moment, But I would say if you get the little habits down where you get up, go to bed at a decent time, get up at a decent time, take care of the basic stuff, take care of your nutrition, drink good water, right? No bullshit. Have a coffee, but drink water, get yourself nice and fluid up, and eat proper food. None of this bullshit of delivery guys driving at your door every night. That's garbage. Absolute garbage. Learn to cook proper food, right? You'll enjoy it. I love cooking. One of my things that I've enjoyed over the pandemic that's kept me sane now is baking. I make my own bread. I make my own cakes. It's flipping great. Everyone loves it. Everyone loves to hear the smell of the gaff. Even the neighbors will be like, Jesus, fella's at it again, So find something that you like doing, hobby-wise, and do it. All right, the gyms aren't open, fine. If you like going for a run, right, go for a run. Do 2K, right? Time that 2K, beat it. Do 3K, exact same thing. Do 5K, there's your marker. Then work on that. And then just practice. Find something that you like doing, drawing, whatever. Do it. Occupation is the key to keeping your brain from going dormant and thinking about negative stuff. That's another big element, man.
Yeah, that's huge. I think things like that were my saving grace. When I was kind of growing up, I didn't really know myself. I wasn't very confident or any of that shit, that kind of way. I was lucky that I was in, I was kind of sheltered from a school, kind of really recognized probably me as, probably a vulnerable kind of guy or something like that. And probably someone that just lacked confidence. And I think like what John's saying, a challenge is important, and a challenge for kids as well is important.
Huge.
Okay? You can't grow up.
Mega.
You can't grow up fucking protected, okay? You're going to be exposed to the street. You're going to be exposed to the work environment. They're going to be exposed to the real world. You need to be kind of, you need to build up the physiology and the neural links as a kid to overcome. And that's why like things like rock climbing is so character developing. Water sports, yeah, kayaking. You're going to get into fucking trouble in kayaking. You're going to get into some kind of trouble in rock climbing. It's how you overcome them challenges that kind of builds up the character. You instill that character from a young age. You can only grow from that.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely huge. Challenging yourself, like John's saying, you don't have to run. It doesn't have to be physical. It can be just, if you can just avoid one negative person a day, I think if you can just, that negatron, as I call them, if you can just keep him or it out of your fucking life for one day.
I'll tell you another good thing.
Man, that will just fucking give you a surfing headspace.
You know what, right? If you can actually gain the strength and momentum, right, when you meet that negatron person, as you call them, right, if you're able to actually deflect, because do you ever meet people?
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying. That is do
you ever meet people who just trust upon their shittiness on you, and it's like almost an invisible whip, and you seem to absorb it about them. The older I've gotten, I don't allow that happen anymore. I just kind of throw it back on them by making a joke, or it may not be the best thing to do. But it's like I don't want to listen to that. So my way of not absorbing it, unless it's like serious, then I'll help you out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're just giving me negative crap about what's going on in your life, like I'll just literally take it into a ball and just throw it back at you, like Dragon Ball Z or something.
Well, I don't know about you, John. I think like I think like I'm in the perfect age now. I don't know what it is, but definitely like, you know, you're at the teens, you're awkward, you don't fucking really know what's going on, you're trying to be a fucking man. 20s, you're just like, you know, you think you fucking know it all, but you know, fuck all. I think 30s, you know, when you get to the late 20s and into the 30s, yeah, like you feel that like wisdom come on. I think you can feel you know, the way you can deal with things better, the way you can see things better.
I totally agree with you.
You know, that is something that needs to be exercised. It's like, it's not that I didn't know that during my teens and 20s. I just didn't know how dangerous it would be later in life if I didn't instill that into my character earlier. So, you know, I think that's a bit deep, like for some people, probably even for myself.
No, not really. No, I mean, I agree with you because
that and just like manifest it into your character. And you know, like I was lucky because like people did that for me when I was younger, and then I kind of realized it clicked. Oh yeah, that's what I need to do. That's what I need to think. This is how I do this, and it just grew then, and I became a fucking.
Yeah, for me, man, like, God, growing up, like, when you're a kid, man, you just don't have a clue. The whole way through, you're just in dreamy land. Like, you're a little bollocks. Stuff
All
I
you
used
want
to
do is
do when
watch
I
The
was a kid.
Simpsons.
Not even that, but you don't think about what actually goes on in the world because you're nested by your parents. So you don't understand what the world is like because the world is a horrible place. It really is. It's beautiful, but it's also a very, very horrible place if you allow it to be.
Exactly.
And,
yeah. Mindset.
You know, when I got into like my teenage years, they were crap. You know, 20s, they weren't great. My 30s are the best that I've ever had. Like the way I am now, I wish I was like that. But I suppose the only way you can get like that is by having a pair of shoes that are really well walked in, and you don't get them without experience and age. And when you get to it, like your 30s and you start to go into like, I'm in my mid 30s now, it's almost like my hard drive was just completely on like flat out mode, and now it's just gone down to like half pace, and I can actually, my brain and my body listens to itself, and I'm like, yeah, no, if I don't want to do that, I just don't want to do it. If I'm in somewhere and it's not my scene, I won't be in that scene. Whereas before I would have stayed in there, irregardless of me actually knowing that that's not a place I should be, but I still would have stayed into that place. And things like that aren't good for your mentality as well, you know.
Yeah.
Like there's a subject that I want to bring up. You know, like we want to talk about homelessness down the line. You know, I mean, I grew up. I had a very tough childhood. You know, I mean, I had a great family when I was a kid, but you know, my mother and father split up. Both of them turned to the drink, and I mean, I ended up in a lot of state-run homes and stuff like that, which were like I don't know. I lived in one in Balbriggan, which was like, you know, there was like 15, 20 kids in it. I mean, I spent there for quite a long time. And I moved around different homes and stuff like, and you know, that should have affected me very, very bad. Which I got into a lot of trouble, and I had like some difficult times, but like I should have been worse than I was. But my point is, right, is that I didn't allow it to do that. I didn't allow things to get me the way it should be, you know. Um, when as I said in the episode one, like, you know, I was in a very dark place at one time in my life. I think when I was in my 20s, early 20s, you know, just before Charles was born, basically, I just didn't want to be in this world. I just didn't like it. It wasn't really a gripe at anyone or family or that. And I just hated it here. I hated everything about it. I hated society. I mean, I had chances at jobs. I was pretty decently smart, but I just didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to be around anything. And it probably stemmed from the fact that I never actually got a little bit of therapy or anything like that. And I never dealt with any issues, you know. I still haven't fully dealt with them. But uh, obviously when my son came along, like it was like someone had basically just opened the door from a room that was just completely pitch black, and just there was a light came in, and that was it. I walked in through there, and as corny as that sounds, you know, I never looked back at that dark place, you know what I mean? And I've always, like, anyone that's ever been down or anyone that's ever going through anything like that right now, like, you know, don't give up, man, because I'm living proof that you can have a rough childhood and you can come out with it, you know. I have a great family now, and I've great people around me, and like, you know, it's not that, like, I wanted to get this out there because mental health, like, is it, you know, it's not just people that have drug addictions. It's not just people. It's people that, like, um, you know, they could have ruined their life messing around with other women or whatever. They could have ruined their family. They could have a gambling addiction. You know, they could just have psychiatric issues, and people don't know how to deal with that. I mean, if you've ever been around someone that was, I mean, when I was later on, like, I was in some homeless hostels when I was like just like 17 and 18 in like Charlemont Street and Cedar House and a few others. Like, I mean, and I even stayed in some guest lodges and stuff, like with some, like, I don't know if you've actually been around people that have schizophrenia, you know, but like, you know,
know a few, Ari.
Yeah. Like, you know, I mean, I remember there was a guy in a hostel I was staying in one night, and he's a lovely guy, you know. He smoked too much weed. I thought, like, for schizophrenic, that maybe it's probably not good that he did that, you know. But I never seen anyone like that before, and he would be very, very friendly and laughing, and then 2 seconds later be like so sad and bawling, and I just didn't understand that. I'll give you a funny one. I will. Like, one night, man, I was asleep, like, and I woke up at like 3 or 4 a.m. Like, he was just standing, like, at the window where my bed was, like, beside the window. He was just standing looking out the window, just like doing an army march on the spot, smoking a joint. That's
That
that's
sounds a
that's
bit psychotic,
that was
Ari.
I was freaked out, man. Like, you know, I was like
Of course it
half
would
3 in the
be.
morning. I was like, and he wouldn't answer me either, you know. And I just get out of that room, like, you know. It's just, that was my last time I stayed in one of them hostels. But, like, I'm just trying to give you, like, I have different opinions. People that are genuinely mentally ill, like, they don't know that they're mentally ill, you know. It's not just alcohol. There's people that are just they are just dysfunctional, and it's
Yeah,
just like
absolutely.
having cancer, you know. It's just it's a different element.
Like I said, there's a spectrum, okay? There's a spectrum. There's people that are just at that far end of the spectrum, and there's probably little you can do, and you just kind of have to help people like that are vulnerable and on their own as
Of
best as you
course,
can, okay?
of course.
And then you have people who are kind of less on that extreme end that yeah, they probably have issues, but they're probably just not dealing with them. We probably just haven't built them coping mechanisms. And I think that's a key word that certainly I wanted to put out to this podcast is coping mechanisms, because everyone deals with things differently. And not only that, but mental health affects everyone else in different ways and different levels, that kind of way. And
100%, yeah.
building the coping mechanisms, the first thing to do is just make yourself aware of where your head's at. Like what are you doing wrong? Okay, what are you like? This is how I kind of like know if I'm deviating, shall we say? And not to say that I have any mental health issues. Okay, I was always mental, so fuck it, I love it. So what are you doing wrong? Okay, so how do I know is where am I now to where I want to be? Okay, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right things to get myself to that destination? Okay, it's only probably a year goal, a 5-year goal, 10-year goal. Okay, and that year goes by or that time goes by, and I'm like, right, why am I here yet? Why am I doing that? I need to evaluate, but I need to recognize what's stopping me, what's impeding me. Is it I'm not saving enough money? Am I not working hard enough? Or You know, am I hanging around with the wrong people? Am I getting the wrong advice? Okay, because environment is another thing that I want to talk about as well, because environment, people are a product of their environment, okay? And that's a fucking fact, okay? You can't use that as an excuse as well, though, okay? You have to be able to build up the coping mechanism to recognize something's wrong here. I need to build up the strength to get myself out of this mess, okay? And the only way of doing that is being aware, okay? You need to be aware that you're doing something wrong or something is wrong in your environment and you need to get away from that, okay? You know, easier to do as you're an adult, okay? We're talking to mostly adults in this podcast and we're talking between ourselves, John, but you know, yeah, okay, there's just children out there and they're in their own environment, but they don't know it and there's nothing they can do about it, okay? That's another topic. That is just something that I cannot talk about. It just kills me. Absolutely kills me, okay? But yeah, you need to build up the coping mechanisms to make yourself aware of what's going wrong, okay? And again, I'm gonna fucking say this every time, it's up to you to enact on them. It's up to you to get moving on that, okay? Get yourself away from the negatrons, get your away from yourself from the substances.
I think you've coined negatrons.
Oh yeah, man, there's no more I hate now. No more I like hate. And do you know how? And this is being quite honest with you, okay? I didn't really realize myself, but definitely in my teens and stuff like that, I probably was one. I most likely was one of them negatrons. I just didn't know how to view things positively. I didn't know how to turn things in my favor.
I didn't want to say that, Mac, but yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. You're definitely a negatron at times.
Fucking cunt.
When it came to your round sometimes.
No, that was just me being a miserable bastard. Nothing about negative with that.
No, I'll tell you one thing. The older you get, that comes into play as well.
Yeah.
So get used to that. Listen, Mac, I want to give.
Let me finish this point.
Sorry. Go on.
Sorry, just because.
No, go on.
I have to just explain to people. I know it's not easy. Okay, negative energy is a real thing, and I'm going a bit woohoo here. Okay, but you keep building that negative energy, it's harder to kind of shift through it in your brain and kind of build a focus and build a strategy to your better future, your way out of whatever fucking rut you're in. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you don't do that, you're just deepening that, you're just digging that fucking hole further, and it's going to be even harder to get the fuck out of it. So
definitely,
yeah. Stop being negative. Okay, this is a mindset now. We're talking about mental health, and with mental health comes mindsets. Okay, you need to be able to build a mindset of positivity. Okay, all the best people in the world that came from nothing learn to do that. It's hard. It takes a lot of practice. It takes years of practice, okay, to be able to look at something, or the government, or the council, or whatever, the police, whatever. You can blame whatever the fuck you want, okay? You need to be able to say, I don't care about them things, okay? They don't add value to where I'm going, okay? Them negative thoughts, okay? Forget about the fucking government. Forget about the police. Forget about whatever it is negative that is getting you down, or whatever it may be. Deal with it. Learn to turn it into a positive. It's not an easy thing to do. It takes a bit of intelligence as well. So that means you need to wake up. You need to wake up and realize you're actually not where you want to be. Okay. And you need to think your way out of these things. You can't feel your way out of these things. You're dysfunctional at this point. You need to think your way out of these. Stop acting on emotion and start using the Greek philosophies, the Western philosophies, the logic, the reasoning. It's not an easy thing to do. I understand that it requires a bit of intelligence, it requires a bit of thinking. And, you know, it requires you to stop being fucking lazy, mentally lazy, okay? It requires you to do that. It's not an easy thing to do. But if you don't wake up, years are going to pass for your boy, and all the beautiful things in life, the really beautiful things in life, are going to pass your boy, and you're not going to see them. You're not going to be able to enjoy them. So enjoy life.
That's a good point.
It's Mac. Not that bad. It really
and it is very short. It is very short, because in what people don't realize about life is, in the snap of a finger, you're 15 and then you're 40 or you're 35 and you're like, where did that go? What did I do? And if you don't, if anyone's listening to us and you're down in a dark hole, man, get up, get up and get out of it and fight. Do whatever you have to do. Email us, whatever you want to do, contact us. We will give you some inspiration. Don't we worry about that. Two of us are guaranteed to give people inspiration. You may not like it. Maybe a kick in the hole.
You're jumping off the 40-foot, whether you like it or not.
You're coming out with me and jumping on the 40-foot. But I'll tell you, the reason why I wanted to, I want to give people just a few little statistics to give them just some reasons and just some data to why we actually wanted to bring this up. And I'm actually using the Central Statistics Office right now, which is a social impact COVID-19 survey for February. And like, it actually backs up, Mac, what you were saying just a second ago. You won't believe this.
Go on, yeah. Is this about the women?
Yeah.
Her sisters.
Actually, yeah. This is pretty amazing, mate. Basically, what we're looking at here, right, is 16.9% of women reported feeling lonely all or most of the time, where in comparison to 9.2% of men. Mental health, the COVID-19 pandemic negatively affected mental health and well-being from 18. So it negatively affected people from the ages of 18 to 34 years of age. And it negatively affected them at 74.4%.
Is that men?
That's just men and women from 18 to 34.
Yeah, I came across a statistic like that as well. It kind of said the most prone to suicide is the ages between 15 and 35, and that's across both sexes.
Yeah. Now,
so if you're in that bracket, fucking realize it, be aware of it.
100%. Yeah. It also has here that from the ages of 70 plus, the people that felt negatively about the pandemic, they're 32%. So actually, the people over 70 weren't as negatively affected. I wonder if that was because
they were pissed out at school.
Maybe that there's another one.
No grandkids this weekend.
Maybe the snooker was on, and your granddad got himself 4 cans of Guinness, and he was like, "Oh, geez,
a bottle of brandy.
I have the horse racing on, and there's no one coming to the gaff today. This is incredible."
Oh man, he probably didn't know himself.
And I'll give you something else here. Percentages of respondents that reported feeling downhearted or depressed almost all of the time. So from April 2020, there was 5.5%, 11.5% in November 2020, and a staggering in February 2021, it went up 15.1%. Now that's all the most relative data I can get off the CSO. It's kind of as much as I could find off them. It's not easy.
And they're usually very good. I love looking at the CSO.
They are. Well, here's another study. Because we only talked about adults there, right? Well, adolescents and adults, right? A study by the Boston Children's Hospital had reported a 47% increase in kids needing to be hospitalized for suicidal ideation or attempts. So basically, ideation for people is just like they're basically just dwelling it in their head, it's just up there. And then obviously the percentage of the 47% is with people who actually did attempts between July and October of 2020 compared to the same period in 2019. So the kids have been very, very negatively affected with the COVID because they've had no school. They're not around their friends as much anymore. Actually, they're not around their friends at all. The schools that are basically telling them that they're not allowed to hug each other, they're not allowed to share food. They have to have this social distances. I know the government are trying to do what they can, but the kids have had such a hard time that I think we're setting ourselves up for a future of some poor kids that they're going to be damaged down the line, you know.
I was
firmly
only,
believe that.
I can't talk to them. I don't have kids. Okay, I just had a really interesting conversation with my sister there probably last week.
Yeah.
It's a very there's kids that need services at the moment. Okay, they're pretty much being told to fuck off. That's a bit harsh, but like with the HSE and even the NHS as well, unless it's COVID related or really critical, they don't want you near a hospital because they know hospitals are breeding grounds for these kind of things. If one person,
of course,
okay,
of course,
that whole ward, that whole hospital is fucking jeopardized. They can't afford to do that to vulnerable people. So I understand the policy. It's not, okay, there is a lot of kids, and I do agree with you, John. Jesus Christ, like we were talking about coping mechanisms, stuff like that. That's grand for us talking about as adults. But these kids are growing up without, like, what do you do as a kid? You go around kicking and biting each other and all that shit. They don't even do it. They don't even play football. They're stuck inside fucking.
Not allowed to do that, you know.
Yeah,
and I
doing
think
everything online.
Everything online, you know. But look, the online thing, I mean, that is certainly like it's really not good to allow your kids.
You need to develop. Kids need to develop social skills.
Yeah,
okay?
I think
bottom fucking line.
That's that we could actually talk about a real podcast about that. But the pandemic allowing your child to play, and I'm guilty of allowing my son to play PlayStation for like a lot, and I am guilty myself. I let him play PlayStation during the pandemic, but it was because he wasn't allowed to go out, wasn't allowed to meet his friends. The only way they meet each other is on the PlayStation Network. I took him off it a couple of times because I could see that he's playing war games and stuff. And in all fairness, they end up. Here's a mad one for you, right? I don't know if anyone knows the game Minecraft, but it's basically a kind of older game where they use building blocks and they actually build, like, you know, they build gaffs, or they build areas, they build ponds, and they build like castles and stuff. And actually him and his mates, instead of playing the war game, they actually went back to that game, which was actually great to see, you know. Was a nice
like
little
a bit of
shine.
Tetris, kind of old school shit.
Yeah, but it was a nice little shine to see that, like, you know, certain games that are out there, they do have a net. They're fun for the moment, but then after a while they burn the kids out, you know. But I think one thing that people, and I'm guilty of this myself, is you know, you should with your kids, you should try and spend a bit more like genuine time with them. And what I mean by that is not allowing them to like sit on mobile phones and just watch crap. Do things with them, you know. If you've no job and you've nothing to do, like, get them up in the morning with you and go for a walk, you know, have a chat with them, see how their engine's ticking, because at the end of the day, you're a mechanic to them. So if you don't suss out what's going on with their head, you never will if they're on phones and games. So little things like that can help nurture your kid and strengthen them, teach them how to cook, teach them how to do things that we learned when we were growing up, you know. Buy a set of boxing pads, you can get them anywhere. Teach them how to throw a punch, you know. Read.
Well, this is kind of going into something that I definitely will be talking about on a later stage to you all.
100%.
John, like, but anyway, sorry, John, to interrupt you. You were saying.
Yeah, no, and look, we are going to have a chat about parenting down the line. I suppose before we kind of click off here, I kind of just, obviously we're on the mental health side, right? And there's the depressive side, but there's also the suicide part to it, all right? And I know it's a touchy subject, and if anyone has been affected by this, you know, if it's tough, it's very tough, you know. I had a very good friend of mine, from Manchester, David. He hung himself, you know, and that was very devastating. And I mean, I was only with him like a few days before, but it's always the ones that you can be around them. They're the funny, they're the life of the room. They're the people that you want to be with, you know. But they put up such a grey, iron face, that they're just a transparent mirror, or they're just a mirror where what you see is just not what's behind the mirror,
Yeah.
And if anyone feels that way and they're in a dark place, honestly, please get help. Don't suffer in silence, because there's a great quote out there, and it's an anonymous person, but depression and suicide is like a war. You either win it or you die fighting it, and like only recently, my wife, in one of her nieces, she committed suicide, and that was only like 2 weeks ago or something, and it affected my wife, and she lives in Ireland, like, so she can't even be with her family at this moment. So um that's the highest level you can get, it's a very dark place, and if anyone does want to find any information, or if you want to speak to someone, I actually researched a place called the Oasis Center, and they're basically in the north inner city, and they're established in 96, and they're run by a religious sisters, a charity, and they offer, like, basically it's very, very cheap. You just give them a donation or wherever you can, and they will do their best to book you in and have a chat with them. They're called the Oasis Center. They're on Facebook, and their phone number is 01836 4524. They have a donate button, so because they're a charitable organization as well, anyone wants to donate to them, you're more than welcome to. I finally got my t-shirt today, which 2 weeks ago I did me darkness into light, where I get up at 5 a.m, really happy to get going and running and stuff like that. And what happened? It was pitch black and bailing rain. And I said, no, I'm going out.
Yeah,
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I have to do it. And I'll tell you one thing, right? I got a really good insight. As I was running in the dark through town, right? And it was lashing, I was soaked to the bone, right? I was just thinking to myself, there's nobody around. It's dark, right? I'm soaking. I feel like crap. But that's how someone feels all the time when they're very, very depressed. So if you know someone that's like that, right? Don't make them say, like, what's wrong with you? Like, don't make them feel agitated. Don't make them feel like, don't make a joke out of them. Try and give them incentives. Like, I'll give you an example, right? What do I do that's helped me the biggest for my mental health? I go out for a swim in the sea. Yeah, all right. Yeah, some people say, oh yeah, why would you do that? I'll tell you why, right? I listened to a guy called Wim Hof, and if anyone doesn't know Wim Hof, he's called the Iceman. Look him up, right? Cold therapy training. I just go out there, I cycle out to the 44 or the Vico Bats, which is way nicer, right? And I just jump into that water, and it's freezing. And I go out there in December, January. It's not for the faint-hearted during the end times, but during the summer when it's nice, go out there, get into the cold water, and I guarantee you'll feel better. So basically what I'm trying to say to people is if you look after the basics, if you get good sleep, you look after your nutrition, you get enough vitamin D, enough vitamin C, enough zinc, right? That'll keep you pretty healthy. If you don't like running, get a kettlebell like me and do thousands and thousands of
like
staves
a lot of
squats.
things can be like it's a lot simpler than people make out.
100%.
A lot of people do thrive off the attention they get from being a miserable fucking
course,
and miserable Negatron. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm not saying, listen to me. I'm not saying fucking beat them up or beat them up about it, okay? Because we have to recognize, that's probably a cry for help as well. So, of
course,
just stop making excuses.
No,
it's a bit hard. I know it's a bit hard on people, and it sounds a bit like, you can be anything you want. You can make $1 million in a week, something like that. And I'm not saying that. I am not saying that at all. Okay, I know what process. I know what protracted struggle is. Okay, I know it very well. Okay. And it starts off one day at a time. It starts off one thing at a time. Okay. Like I said, one day, just do one positive thing a day, whether it be hanging up the clothes that are on the grounds, whether it be
100%.
just hoovering the fucking carpet, going for that walk. Okay. Just, you know what I mean? Why do you think people on the streets that are down and out people have pets now? Okay. Because they've learned to turn something negative into positive. They said, well, here, if I'm going to be here, a miserable bastard, I might as well have fucking a jolly bleeding rabbit beside me as well. I can, you know, as bad as here and as bad as you might think you are, always remember this. There's always someone out there worse than you. Okay? You have absolutely no fucking right whatsoever to moan and complain about anything. Okay? You are alive. Okay? You're alive. You realize how much of a fucking miracle you being on this planet is. Okay?
Yeah,
you should
well,
be fucking grateful for that. Okay?
yeah, well, I mean,
and not
it
be
comes,
throwing it in the fucking dustbin by making excuses just because you want attention or just because that's what feels comfortable to you. You cannot do that. Okay? You can take the softy soft approach all I want, but like I said, you're responsible for your mental health. You're responsible for the quality of your life. And get this, you're responsible for the quality of your children's lives and their children's lives
exactly.
and their children's lives. Okay? You have a lineage to think about. Okay? And if that doesn't motivate you, you know, then you're on the far end of the spectrum. Okay? You need professional clinical help. Okay? And I'm sorry
100%.
if this seems a hit at you. I'm sorry if this seems a bit hard at you. Some people just need to be kicked up the fucking arse, like me. Okay?
Yeah,
That's what
and Mac, I'm that type of person where I have to learn the hard way. But
well, you
that's the
don't
only way I
need to.
learn. But you know, look, as I've gotten older, I've learned to deal with things a lot better. And you know, as Max said, some people, they may not be able to take charge of their own life, right? But you are responsible for your actions. So, you know, what you do, it doesn't affect your life. But I suppose before we end it, right, I want to give something back to people, right? And this is so small and stupid and funny, right? Well, my wife got me a Henry Hoover there not too long ago, and I fucking love what I do. And if you're ever feeling down and depressed, right, go onto YouTube or go onto Spotify and type in the McFaddens, right? And then look for the song Ain't Nobody Now, I think it is, right? Turn that Hoover on and blast the tunes and Hoover the crap out of your gaff and tell me you don't feel good after that. Because I feel great. Love that little bugger.
Yeah. Yeah, grand, cool. If you want to leave it at that, John, I'm happy enough.
Yeah.
I just want to finish up by just reiterating some of the points that I wanted to bring up with the podcast. Okay,
yeah, you shoot ahead, mate.
It's the Negatrons one. Okay, you have a few of them. Get yourself away from the Negatrons. Okay, he who lies with the dog shall rise with the fleas. That's an old thing, and my grandfather told me. I didn't realize at the time, even though I knew what it meant. It took me to kind of realize, yeah, okay, I need to get the fuck out of this way. I need to get away from people that are Negatron because, like I said, I was a negative cunt myself. Okay, I needed to learn that it wasn't an easy thing to self-reflect on because people, they don't want to be hurt. They don't want to hurt themselves. Okay, it's not an easy thing to do to reflect on yourself and critically evaluate yourself. But you got to do it. You got to do it. Even mentally healthy people find it difficult to do. If you're come from a dysfunctional background and stuff like that, yeah, it's hard to do, but you have to build these into your character. You have to exercise the strengths in your character. Okay,
Definitely.
You can't be fucking lying down letting life beat you. Okay, that's not what life's about. You know what I mean? It is a struggle. It's a struggle for everybody. Okay, you're no different. Okay, so the core characters awareness. Okay, you need to be aware. Okay, you need to be able to spot the negative. Okay, you need to be able to spot when you're slipping. You understand what I mean by slipping? It's like, do you know what? Maybe I'm just drinking that too much. I'm enjoying the life a bit too much. Okay, which is nothing wrong with it. Okay, but be careful because there's demons everywhere. We all have them. Okay. I've done so much, okay, and I wanted to share this with you, okay? This is a real fucking thing, and not enough of people talk about this, okay? We all have demons, okay? No matter where I went, what part of the world I went, no matter what I put my body and my mind through, okay? Through all the shit I've done in my life and all the crazy shit I've done in my life, okay? I never shook them demons off, okay? They were with me everywhere. They followed me everywhere. I didn't, no matter, like, I tried to be something different. I tried to break out of my negative. I realized that, listen, me, you're not going to shake these people or these things, these negative things off. You just have to learn how to live with them. You have to make peace with them. I know it's hard. It's very, very hurtful. People are coming from very hurtful things, okay? You have to make peace with them, okay? And just move forward, okay? And you need to be aware of them when they're becoming a hindrance and an impediment on that path that I said, from where you are to where you want to be, whether it be where you want to be in a day, a week, a month, it doesn't matter. You need to be aware, okay? And stop making fucking excuses, please, people. Start taking control, okay? Like John said, it's, it's a battle, it's a war, like, that kind of way. And my granddad said something, a very wise man, my granddad is, you probably get a lot of quotes from me in the podcast. He said, if you kill yourself on a Tuesday, there's no Wednesday or Thursday. Peace, guys.
Yeah, look, thanks very much for listening to us, guys, and taking the time. We really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's a dark subject. We're going to have some more funny stuff on. We're going to have some interesting guests, Mac.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to allude to a guest?
What you got for you, boys and girls. Right, go on. I'll end it at that, John. My fucking cameras, I think, is gone. But
all right, go on. No
listen,
worries.
everybody, just before I go, like I said before, we're actually now on Spotify. We got the links up and running. We're on all the usual platforms. So if you don't want to watch the video, listen to us on the lip sync links that we send out on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Spotify, the Instagram, the LinkedIn. What the fuck else we on? Bishoot then. We're all there, guys. Send us a message.
Bishoot, we need to work on a little bit more, but we're on all the main ones. We're on Spotify. The Libsyn one we have is linked to Spotify. So if you want to listen to us, download it, listen to us while you're going for a walk or driving or going to work in the morning or whatever, just, sitting in the evening time, listen to something. Stick us on, get us in, and then like, comment, follow us, and share. That's what we need. You are, you motivate us.
Take it easy, guys. All the best.
Yeah. Bye-bye.